Welcome, everybody. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Peter Jonas, who's going to tell us about OpenScore. Have fun.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be talking about OpenScore, which is a collaborative project between MuseScore and IMSLP. And we want to open source music using open source software. What do we mean by open source music? Well, we want to liberate the music from copyright restrictions so everyone can do what they want with it. And we also want to liberate it from paper. We want digital music. Basically, if you think of what OpenStreetMap did for maps and Project Gutenberg did for books, we want to do the same for sheet music. So how would you go about doing that? Well, it's a two-step process. You start from the original score, and then you have to get it onto a computer somehow. So we need to scan it and convert it into a bitmap image. But it doesn't end there, because the next step is we want to turn it into a semantic score, something that we can play and extract data from. And the end result is that we'll get the actual musical source code in an XML format, which is editable and parsable. And then we're going to release it under a Creative Commons license, so everyone is able to do whatever they want with it. And so this would allow you to listen to the music, edit it, and share it. And I've got a quick demo of that. So here we have some sheet music within MuseScore, which is an open source music notation editor. So you can listen to the music, and you can edit it. And then you can share it with the world in a variety of different formats. So so the sheet music is very much a living beast once you get it onto the computer. So to cover step one, getting it scanning the music, this is where we're partnering with IMSLP. So they have there's a vast community of users who are uploading scanned copies of sheet music that they find around the world in libraries and private collections. So this is old editions that are no longer in copyright. This is the sort of thing you'd expect if you on IMSLP. So we have Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony here. So you can see all the variety of different formats it's available to download in. But what you get out of this is a PDF file. So just a series of pictures of pages. So it's quite static. It's not living like the XML music is. So then the next step is MuseScore, and this is where MuseScore's community comes in. So MuseScore is an open source music notation program under GPL version 2, but it's also a community of sheet music creators who use the software to create their own original compositions or to transcribe existing pieces, and then they upload that to MuseScore.com and share it with the world. So starting from this bitmap score, the PDF file, this is how you'd go about entering the notes into MuseScore. So it's a very long and tedious process for one person to do it on their own, but by outsourcing it to a bunch of to many individuals, we can go from just a few notes to a whole score. And you see what we've done here is we've added a nice cover to it for the OpenScore edition. So this is that Tchaikovsky that I showed you a minute ago in the PDF file that's been typed up by MuseScore's users, and we sent this out to a whole bunch of them. We gave them 2 pages to do each, and after a week we got back this whole symphony. And once you've got it into MuseScore and you have this XML, you can then output it in a variety of different formats. So you can see them here. So there's the main music XML for sharing with other notation software. But then, of course, you can output in a number of different image, audio, and video formats as well. And then, because we release under a Creative Commons license, this gives you the freedom to do whatever you want with the file, as long as you credit that you got it from OpenScore. So how is this going to happen? So we really want to kickstart this and to incentivize MuseScore's users to get out there and start transcribing these pieces to get them into the digital formats. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to incentivize them with free membership of the MuseScore.com website, which allows them to share as many scores as they like. And in order to fund this and provide these rewards and incentives, we'll be running a Kickstarter. And so the money from the Kickstarter will go towards incentivizing the crowdsourcing effort. So what will happen with the Kickstarter is that the backers will select the pieces to transcribe, and then we will hand them out to MuseScore's users to produce the transcriptions. And then we will check those transcriptions to make sure that they match the originals and provide an exact semantic copy of the original music. So if you go onto the MuseScore.com and you're looking for the Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, then you'll know that that's exactly what you're getting. There's no edits, you're getting the exact original. And there's a whole number of different use cases that we envision that people will want to use these scores for, and we're partnering with these other organizations to make these happen. So you can see some of them there, and I'll talk about some of these different use cases. So the number one is accessibility. So you can see so if somebody's partially sighted and they're trying to read sheet music, then at the moment they have to use some kind of magnification technique, but we can do better than that. So once you have the semantic score, you are able to enlarge it, to change the fonts, and make something called modified stave notation. Or you can color different notes for people with reading disabilities like dyslexia. And we can even output Braille as well for blind musicians. And of course, once you have the digital file, you're able to enjoy the music on a range of different devices and publish it on various different platforms. So one of the more interesting uses that's happening at the moment is some students at the University of St Andrews are using MuseScore to produce translations of French operas. They're translating them into English. And when you have the digital file in MuseScore, it allows you to write the lyric translation straight underneath the original language. And then the students can share their translations with each other. They don't have to worry about copyright issues from photocopying music, that kind of thing. Or you can use these files as a research tool. So if you pair it with the open source Music 21 toolkit, then you can extract information from the score, sort of how many notes of each different kind are there, or what key signatures did the composer use. And then, thanks to the Creative Commons license, researchers can publish their results under any license of their choosing. And once we have these digital scores, we'll be able to feed them into artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms to try and teach computers how to create music. So you might have heard of these projects where they teach the computer how Bach would, this sort of Bach style of composition, and then the computer can output another piece that was not made from any of Bach's pieces, but is in Bach's style. So machine learning, that kind of thing. And the other thing you can do is you can create these artistic visualizations from the sheet music. So this is made by another of our partners. And this is a visualization of the 4 seasons. And if you start at the top and you read it clockwise, that tells you where you are within the piece. And each dot represents a note in the score. The size of the dot is the volume, and its distance from the center of the circle is its pitch. So that's a visual representation of a score. And the colors tells you which instruments were used. So there's various other uses as well, like video games. So you can imagine sort of playing along with a score, or remixing the content. And one of the ultimate goal is to have to be able to give the most enriched experience with the music as possible. So to use the music, the sheet music to enrich other media such as videos, that kind of thing. So I have a demonstration of that over here. So this is Beethoven's Fifth Symphony that we've made an OpenScore edition. So you can see we've given it a cover page made by the visual artist, and then we've synchronized this with a YouTube video using open source software. So if you're ever curious as to what Beethoven's Fifth Symphony actually looked like, then now you know. So now that's the presentation. So now we'll take questions. Thank you.
So thank you very much. If there are any questions, please raise your hand. I'll get the mic to you.
How soon will you be accepting volunteers for MuseScore for OpenScore transcribing?
So we're currently running a pilot project to transcribe the Tchaikovsky piece, and we've just put out a notice on the MuseScore website. So you'll be able to sign up using this link to register your interest, and we should be ready to start going within a month or so. Yeah.
Concerning compatibility, you've mentioned Music XML, but did not mention the Music Encoding Initiative, for example. Is there a reason for that?
The Music Encoding Initiative?
Initiative, yeah. It's another standard for XML.
I'm not familiar with that, I'm afraid. But we're going for open as many formats as possible, and assuming that your use case can import Music XML, then it will be compatible with that.
Sorry.
But we can export MIDI and yeah, a whole variety of different formats.
I have two related questions. First of all, your licensing under General Creative Commons. What was the rationale behind not either asking for attribution, which to many composers would be important? They're happy to give it away, but they would like to know that they composed it. And secondly, share alike, to ensure other people behave in the same way. And then related to that, you described what seemed a very centralized process. What if someone comes up and says, I've actually happened to have done a complete transcription of some piece of music? Are you set up to take contributions, even if they weren't the ones you originally asked for?
Yes, so we will, where we find existing compositions that are either under a compatible license, or the person is willing to license them to us under a suitable license, then we are happy to use those. And why did we choose the Creative Commons attribution license rather than share alike? We wanted to be as open as possible, I guess, is the reason for that. And it's something that we are still considering, but basically we wanted it to be as open as possible. So the file, you can already get the PDF files are already available under completely open licenses, and we don't want to restrict other people, artists and so on, from monetizing the things that they create using OpenScore.
You had a question?
Yes.
Are you building tools for melody recognition too? Now you have all those source files.
For image recognition, was that?
Melody recognition.
Melody recognition.
Yes.
So you've heard of the Music 21 toolkit that does, you can extract various information using that. I'm not sure if it's familiar with melody recognition. There is the tool that we use to synchronize the scores with the videos that it matches the two different sound sources together. Yeah.
So I think this is time for one more question. Anybody?
Is this typing in of MuseScore not a lot of work? Isn't it easier to do something like OCR or something?
Okay, so there are tools that can do an automatic conversion, but they're currently not reliable enough, at least not the open source ones. So we're going to type this in manually, but what that will do is it will give us a set of PDFs and the matching XML scores, and then we can use that to train artificial intelligence to make the automatic conversion process more reliable in the future.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.